Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Just Make It Pretty podcast. Today, I have a topic that I am really excited about because it really, me and my guests, it really connects us. And it really is something that we're both deeply passionate about. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about how young professionals are leading differently in this industry and things that like norms are changing and things that we can push back on. And I'm super excited to talk about it. So let's get into this episode right away. Welcome to the Just Make It Pretty podcast, the marketing and mindset show for home builders and beyond. I'm your host, Sarah Haynes, and around here we go beyond pretty pictures and we get honest about what's working, what's not, and what it really takes to build better brands, better experiences, and better teams. You'll find creative ideas, practical strategies, and conversations that actually matter. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get started. Okay, everybody. So I am excited to introduce you to Emily Studenmund. She is the Director of Marketing at Wayne Homes, and she's a friend of mine. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to do this.
One of my favorite questions before we get into all the info for this episode, one of my favorite questions is to get your backstory. Have you introduced yourself? How did you get into home building? How did you get into marketing? What's your journey to this point here?
Yeah, sounds good. So I like to say I am Wayne Homes born and bred, basically. So I was a marketing intern while I was still in school. I did that for a summer in between my sophomore and junior years. I left. It was a wonderful experience, went back, finished my degree, wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And I was like, you know what? I liked it there. Let's just see. Ended up applying for a position at our Columbus office and ended up as our design consultant there. So I really started on the ground floor of home building, working with customers, seeing how and what goes into personalizing their dream homes, figuring out what makes it tick, and really just working together with families to figure out how this build is going to work. So I was in that role for about a year and a half before I was promoted to sales manager of that same market. So I oversaw most of our Columbus market, which at the time was our busiest. And that was also during COVID. So it was quite an adventure, to say the least. I was in that role for about a year and a half more before I was promoted up to marketing manager, which took me to our home office, which is near where I grew up. So it was a blessing in disguise. Ended up closer back towards some family. And then I went through some legacy training with our VP of marketing at the time and really saw how she did things, this creative engine that she had built, basically. And when she retired after an incredible career, I took over for her as director of marketing. So it's been quite the journey. I really don't know that I would be able to do what I do today without having seen all other aspects of our business and just being really ingrained with how that has worked. Marketing a product that you're truly passionate about comes pretty easy, it turns out.
Yeah, I love your story because like you did go through all of these areas of the business to really understand. And that's something that I think a lot of people skip over. They go into their one role and then that's where they stay. So
Yeah.
I can really see how that just having that knowledge and like even connection within the team like really helps.
Yeah, it did. And I went to Ohio State. I got a degree in marketing. So I had that background as well. And then I deviated when I went through sales. But again, I couldn't have done it without that. So it ended up working out just the way that it should have.
Yeah. Also, I can't start this episode without congratulating you on your recent win. You won the Young Guns and Legends Award. So congratulations on that. It used to be called 40 Under 40, and you're definitely in that group with me. So congratulations. I'm so happy and proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And you as well. Go us.
Yeah, go us. One of the things that when we were talking about this episode, like one of the things that was in my mind, I was thinking back. We're also both part of the Shore Alumni Circle together. Well, we were last year. And we were talking about how there's these norms that, and some of it is generational, some of it is just how people have done things for so long. And you're like really good at articulating how we should be pushing back against things. And it was such a good conversation. And I want to bring that to the podcast because I think it's a conversation that so many people should hear and we should be thinking about. So as a young leader, how do you feel like as you were stepping into this leadership role, like there were already expectations for you? Like, how do you feel like that was placed on you? What was your experience there?
Yeah, so obviously I came into a very established company. I took my first leadership role within the company at 23. I really had to figure out and quickly, what kind of leader I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up for my people, and then the path before me that others had paved as well. Because I did have a lot of good things laid out as to you don't have to recreate the wheel. It doesn't have to be hard. Here's how you go about caring for people first and foremost, but also making sure you're taking care of the business and doing what needs to be done. Yeah, the path kind of split both ways, honestly. There is room for me to make it my own, but also a good layout of how to make it successful.
Yeah, it's really a testament to your company, like having that structure for you, but also
Mhm.
giving you a little bit of autonomy to be able to like figure out your place.
Yeah.
I love that. I really respect companies who build that into their culture.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we do a really good job of that from the first day that we hire people. We bring them through an onboarding process pretty soon after they start. And one of the biggest things in that is talking to our senior leadership team about why they're there, why they want to be there, and why they've stayed. What has their career looked like? And just the opportunities and things available to everyone at Wayne Homes. We like to make it very growth centered because that's what's important to us. You spend a lot of time and money getting people recruited into your company. So why would you not spend the same amount of time and money to keep them there?
Yeah, for sure. So when you got into your leadership position, what were there norms that you pushed against? Were there things that you were like, hey, these maybe we could think about this different, or like questions that you had? How did that go?
Yeah, not right away. I got my feet wet for probably about the first 6 months I was in the role just to see what we were dealing with, what it looked like. I also, again, had the benefit of working on the team for about a year before I took over as that leadership role. And then from there, we just slowly and incrementally started to change things. We had a really good groundwork laid out for us. From there, it was just updating what needed updating, restructuring the team the way that was going to be most successful in a 2020 some market. Marketing moves very fast these days. You have to be very quick in order to keep up with it. And some of our processes just weren't quite there at the time. You could put it there today and it may be different tomorrow. So that's not to say that anything we're even setting up today is going to be good in 6 months. It's being able to pivot and having everyone on your team pivot. I also had the opportunity to grow my team relatively quickly from what we had before, which was great. We brought some things in house. We started doing things a little bit different, and my team really took that over and ran with it. So we're in a phenomenal spot as far as that. But that also comes with restructuring and looking at how things were done and then just making different decisions moving forward.
Yeah, it's really a balance, right? Like
It
you
is.
keep everything, the good parts of like all of that history that you have. They've
Yeah.
tried a bunch of things already, right? So we know these things are going to work for us. We have processes, but not getting so stuck in that you can't innovate. And I know that bringing in young leaders is a great way to bring innovation, but I have seen companies that I've worked with where it's like a new leader comes in and then they're like, okay, throw it all away, we're starting over. I'm here now. And that doesn't always work. It can, but it doesn't always work well either. It's like,
Mhm.
how do you find that balance?
Yeah, especially because I had a pretty 50-50 even balance of new to the team and new to the company, and also very tenured and with the company for some time. It was finding out how to manage both of those and make sure everyone was still happy, content, moving forward, growing within their role, all of that.
Yeah. How did you find that? How did you find that position? Were there any challenges with finding your credibility as like a leader of people who had been there a long time, but also that you're like training up and trying to give this culture to?
Yeah, I think it's always interesting being a younger leader. You are trying to find your footing as an individual while also trying to come off very confident and with it. So it is a balancing act, but I also think transparency is key. I do not claim to have all of the answers ever. I am still learning in this industry every single day. I'm still learning at this company every single day. I hope my team agrees that I allow them to see that side and have with the teams that I've managed even prior to them. But I think it's knowing what resources you have at your disposal and using them accordingly. I have a great senior leadership team that I work with. I have a mentor still who had this position before me. And then I have a team that's just willing to support each other in everything that we're doing. So all of those help me to be a better leader day in and day out.
Yeah, that's amazing. Building trust with your team is something that it is so important.
Mhm.
You have to start it early. I
Yeah.
feel like. but you can't force it. You have
No.
to be authentic to yourself, be authentic to where you're at and your knowledge, and allowing people to contribute. I think it's just such a mistake when leaders come in, they're just like, I know everything, so here we go. Like that's just
My
you're so
yeah.
many opportunities missed.
Yeah, my goal from the very beginning has been to empower the people that I have on my team. They are the experts in what they are doing. They're very good at what they do, and they're creative enough to take us to the next level. So giving them the power and the space to be able to own the different areas that they're in. Again, I won't say I always get it right, but dang, do I try.
I know you do. I know I do. And I think leaders in general do, and they're trying to do what's best for everyone, themselves, the
Yeah.
company, their team. And that's not always easy, and it's not always visible. Like
No,
you could be mapped,
not
you have to make a lot of decisions that maybe not everybody is going to understand, or and it's
to your
tough.
point, even see. You know,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that if you are seeing it, I've done something wrong.
Yeah, it's tough. So let's talk about some of the the shifts that have happened with bringing in like new team members. I know when we were at the last shore, we talked a lot about generational differences and like the Gen Z employees that are coming in now. So how have you adapted, or maybe not adapted, like your team and the way that you work with it in the marketing team for these newer
Yeah.
employees?
So, what started in COVID was a flexible work schedule that has stayed for my team. And it's one of the things I think is really important. It gives them a sense of autonomy in what they're doing. It also gives them, again, that flexibility to be from home and to be from work. I have a lot of team members who are more productive at home. And learning that about each individual has made all the difference because at the end of the day, yes, there are a lot of generational differences that happen when it comes to work styles and accepted work norms and all of these things, but we are still dealing with people. Just at baseline, we are still dealing with people. So, learning what makes those people tick, how they work best, how they learn best is one of the biggest factors when it comes to the folks on my team and how I manage that.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm much more effective at home, and I love being work from home. Like, I think, gosh, it's 12 or 13 years now that I've been working from home. I cannot imagine having to go back to an office. It's just so nice. But I
Yeah.
know that's not the same for everybody. Not
Mm-mm.
everybody really likes it that much. So, how do you figure that out? Like, how do you figure out what's best for everybody on your team?
So my team goes through a period when they first start, they're fully in the office with me because I am the same way. And then from there, we just figure out a schedule. Typically, it's a day or two from home. Sometimes it matches up with our other team members, sometimes it doesn't. We have days that everyone is in the office no matter what, so that there are still those connection points. There's still those times when everyone's around each other. It's great for teamwork. And I also have a great team that's willing to come in when needed. So if we do have an in person meeting or we have a conversation that's just going to be better hashed out with all of us around the same table, that is not an issue for us. But we're also a local company. We hire folks that live in and around the area so that commuting isn't an issue. Those conversations, I think, start early with even in the interviewing process of how do you work best? What is your work style? How do you interact with teammates? What's your preferred interaction with teammates? You need someone that's going to get along, obviously, with everyone, but not everyone has to have the exact same personality in order to make a team thrive.
But diversity is a plus a lot of
Yes,
times.
absolutely. It brings in different viewpoints. And without that, how are you ever supposed to view anything through a different lens? You're just going to be going through the same one over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. You create this little echo chamber, and that's where innovation goes to die.
Yes, so true.
So this kind of culture, was this pre-existing you coming in, or did you have to advocate for the like, I think, that these people are going to work from better from home, or like allowing this to happen? Like, how did that work for you?
It was both. Again, with COVID, my team or my company did go mildly virtual. There are some teams that went fully virtual, like my online sales team. And then there are others where it really comes down to the team itself. So I have advocated for this is what works for my team. Different things work for different teams. Their managers are the ones that are in charge of those schedules. I'll continue to advocate for the structure like this for my team for as long as I have to.
Yeah. Was that easy? Was that difficult? Did you have challenges with it? Like, how did that work?
I think work from home is always a tricky topic, especially when it comes to very established companies. The assumption is that if you can't see someone, they're not doing what they need to do. And sometimes that's the case, unfortunately. Some people don't work the best from home. Some people do take advantage of that. And that's where I think knowing the individual comes in huge, because if they can't, then they shouldn't. But if that's not the case, like it isn't for my team, it's a detriment to not allow them that flexibility in their schedule.
Yeah. What I see a lot is like when we're having these conversations and people think that it has to work the same for every team, every person. And I don't think that's really realistic. And like the pushback that I've heard is I can't let my sales team work from home. Like they have to be in the
Mhm.
model. And it's of course like that they need to be there. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of nuances that get missed in this conversation.
There are, yeah. And again, like we have all different types of teams in our company. Again, we have the sales side, but there are things that are afforded to sales that aren't afforded to our home office and vice versa. Like you said, I think it's unrealistic to think everyone is going to be exactly the same. That's where you really have to pay attention to the nuances of your own work and make sure that is at the forefront. Because at the end of the day, we're going to do what we need to do to support the business. And that doesn't look the same for every role.
Yeah. So it's you have to be self-aware also to like
Very much
self
so.
for, hey, this is how I work best. Don't just say it just because, that's what you want. I think you can
Yeah,
lose a lot of credibility that way by pushing it.
absolutely. I agree with you.
Oh, where'd you go?
Oh no. Hold on. Sorry.
That's great.
Plugged you in. There we go.
You're back.
I'm back.
Okay, so how would you, I kind of want to go into like our third section of this
Yeah.
episode and talk about like your leadership style today. I think we all are, we're very lucky to work in an industry where like companies pour into us as leaders. And I'm so grateful for that and to have the ability to do that for my teams. So how do you think that's impacted your leadership style? How would you describe your leadership style? What have you learned along the way?
Yeah. I'll start by saying I don't know that my leadership style is officially developed yet. I think I am doing a lot of learning day in and day out about what works, what doesn't. I learn from every conversation that I have with my team just as I go. But you're right. I have been very lucky to be with a company that has afforded me a lot of opportunities to go out and seek that growth too for myself, whether it be through different networking groups, different conferences, things of that nature. And I've taken a little piece from each one of those as I slowly kind of Lego this leadership style together, because it's everyone's going to say, oh, this type is the best or this type is the best, and I haven't really found one that I'm like, that is exactly who I am. I think when it comes down to it, I really try to lead with empathy first. And I know that's not unusual for leaders, but it's the biggest one for me. I look at the person before I look at the employee. And then from there, I figure out, okay, how do we utilize each and everyone's personalities to maximize what we're doing for our company? Because only if you're paying attention to the individual can you really get the most out of who they are and who they want to be. Honestly, I found a lot of people want to do a good job. And if you work with that instead of against it, you're going to be even better set up. Yeah.
Do you think your leadership style is going to solidify someday? Is that your goal?
Not really. No. I think if I were to solidify that, I would almost feel a little stuck myself. I love learning new things about leadership. I love finding new ways to talk to people, new ways to interact with people, new ways to challenge myself as a leader, even in the ones that are very uncomfortable. Asking for feedback is very hard. Being open to that feedback is even harder, but it is such a necessary part of leadership, and giving people space to say those things is huge. So no, I think at some points I'll get more comfortable in the leadership style that I have, but I don't know that it'll ever be fully done developing. Whether that's to a detriment or not, I guess we will find out in 20 years. Stay tuned.
I don't think that's a detriment. I think you're already like a very confident person. I think I really admire like you as a young leader and like the way that you like so just like you just answered that question so honestly. And I really appreciate that. And I think a lot of people they get in their heads about it. They're like, I need to know like more, or I need to be a certain way, or they put all these expectations on like how we're supposed to be. It's really difficult to I don't know, to just be authentically you
Yeah.
sometimes and to allow your leadership to evolve with you and with your team. So I really like the way that you answered that. I really identify with what you said.
Thanks. I think people get scared too. People get
Mhm.
scared that imposter syndrome is going to creep in and people will think that they don't know what they're doing. And I think if you don't know what you're doing at times, that's normal. Having the expectation that you're going to have to face every single situation before you lead someone through it is unrealistic. I know for me, at least, it's unrealistic. So just finding ways to lead through that with people by your side versus trying to champion it alone is huge.
Yeah. So one
Yeah.
of the things that I think I've worked on throughout the years is balancing like being approachable and being someone that your team can come to with their problems, like as a coach and things like that, but also keeping like a level of like professionalism and like having
Mhm.
the ability to be like, I still need to set very clear expectations from you and things like that. That balance for me has always been something that I feel like I have not grasped. Like I feel like sometimes I'm too friendly and then sometimes I'm too corporate. How do you find that? Has that been something that you struggled with, or do you have that figured out?
I think it's the common thing of a friend versus a leader and knowing when to flip back and forth to each one. Sometimes I feel like I have it figured out. Sometimes I don't feel like I have it figured out. I think it has a lot to do with the company culture, honestly. I come from a great one, and there is that level of family while also, again, still having in mind what we're going for. Our goal is to bring the best customer experience that we can to those building houses. Building houses is the byproduct. The experience we want our customers to have is first and foremost. And so keeping that always in the back of our heads, I think, is where that professionalism comes in. You can still be friends with the people around you as long as you are all working towards a common goal. I think the moment you lose that common goal is when that line becomes really blurry and easy to cross. But it's hard, to your point. It's very hard because relating to people, a lot of times we use that comfortability and that friendship piece as that bridge versus using the professionalism side of the bridge. So it's got to put the bridges together.
It could be awkward to switch.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, yes, we're friends and I really like you and we're going to go out for drinks later. I want to
But
give you this feedback, or we have to talk about this difficult topic. And it can feel very unnatural sometimes to make that switch back and forth. And I don't know. I agree with you. I don't feel like I have it figured out all the time. And I have even gone as far as to be like, okay, like this is your boss, Sarah, talking. Like we have to talk about this thing. Be like, all right, we're switching modes, everybody.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you feel like as you have worked your way up in this company and you've changed your leadership style that you've learned that you feel like you would tell someone else, like coming up under you, like, hey, this is something that you should focus on, or this is something that I learned that I can depart on you and help you out?
Yeah. I think when it comes to leadership, although you may not have your entire style figured out, it is really important to figure out what feels most natural to you. Because the moment you try to shove yourself into either the way that it's been done before, or the way that you've seen other people do it, or this book that you read told you it was the best way to do it, is the moment where you're going to start to feel fake. And the more that you feel that, the harder it's going to get. And you're going to truly start to believe that. And then the imposter syndrome creeps in. And then it just gets that much harder because you're acting on a stance that isn't really who you are. So even if it takes a while, even if you have to learn the ropes, going step by step in the leadership process and just building up who you are as a leader block by block is huge. I'm pretty unserious as a leader, I would say. Do tend to be a little bit more informal than formal, but that style works for me. That style works for who I am at my core, and then I can still find that urgency when I need to. For the longest time, we had a running joke in my company that I really needed to slow down. I just did. I did everything very quickly. Sometimes it really worked out, sometimes it was to a detriment. But finding that within your leadership style too is huge. And being able to take that feedback sooner in your leadership career rather than later is going to make all the difference.
Yeah. No, I can attest to that. I've heard that same joke made to me, and I did not listen.
Yep.
I was like, you guys are just slow, so maybe you speed up. And
You speed up. We'll be all good.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily think that the first couple times that people gave it to me, but it is
It
true.
took me a while. It is on my whiteboard. It stares me in the face every single day. So every day.
Yeah. Okay, so what about you? You've already shared, like, you have had great leaders yourself, and I love that for you. I think that's such a blessing when we have that. But talking to leading up, what would you tell people that are trying to lead new leaders right now? They say, I've heard this saying a lot before, where it's like you're not a true leader until you create a leader. So what would you tell people that are in that process right now?
Start from the ground up. Don't dive in at the top. Really make sure you know who you're building up. That's going to be the biggest piece because just like you had to figure it out, they're going to have to figure it out. You can give them all the tools and tips and tricks and things that you want. But at the end of the day, it's on that person to truly develop that leadership sense. Some people have it and some people don't. Some people can learn it really well. So it just depends on the individual. But I would say give yourself grace, take it slow. It's not going to be an overnight thing. And if it is, please call me because I would love to know how you did it. Would love to. Please pass that tip along. But just give yourself some grace as someone maybe did for you or maybe didn't do for you. Sometimes we're looking to do what was the opposite of what was done. And sometimes we're looking to repeat. And knowing that is going to make a huge difference too.
Yeah, it's so hard because at least for me, one of the things that I really want is I want everyone under me to not have to make the same mistakes that I made. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to give you everything that I know so that, you've got this leg up. But sometimes that comes across as don't make any mistakes ever, which is not the intention. And
Yeah.
so allowing people to make mistakes and to be like, yeah, it's not the end of the world. Here's how we're going
Mhm.
to work through this, whether I made the mistake or not. It's just a good reminder sometimes to be like, yeah, we're not all perfect and things are going to
Mhm.
go wrong, and that's okay.
And I think that culture of nurturing too is huge within teams. Very few things are ever a true emergency. They pop up every once in a while, but treating mistakes with grace and understanding versus anger is going to buy you more trust points as a leader than anything else.
Yes. Yeah. I always say, I'm like, it's just marketing.
It's just
I'm like,
marketing,
die.
but it's all
Yeah,
good.
I know. Marketing is very important, and we always have so many deadlines and so many expectations, but like
Project
just
based.
keeping in your mind, like it's okay. We
Mhm.
are saving PDFs, not lives. I love that saying. But yeah. Okay, awesome. I love this conversation. I love you as a person. I love you as a leader.
Aw,
And I'm so glad that you came on the podcast today. Thank you for donating your time to me and to all of our listeners. I hope people found this interesting no matter where you are in your leadership journey and in your company. I think that these things apply across the board. So I love that. Thank you for sharing.
of course. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, I'll hit you up again, I'm sure, to come
Perfect.
on again. But thank you for being here. Everybody listening, please go and follow Emily. Emily, where should they do that? If they want to connect with you or follow you, where would they go?
Let's do LinkedIn. That is the one I need to re-engage with. So my name's the same on there, Emily Studenmund. I'd be happy to connect with you and just talk about our industry. Honestly, it's a special one. So it's a fun topic of conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, get over there to LinkedIn, follow Emily. I'll put her link in the description box. And please follow the podcast as well. It really means a lot to me. It means a lot to our guests. Every time we get comments on an episode or a clip, wherever you're watching this, it's just so cool. I don't know. Like, I've had so much fun with this podcast because of all the conversations that it started. So please
Yeah.
give that gift to both of us. Comment, like, share. It means a lot. And thank you for being here. I hope that we see you in our next episode. And thank you, Emily, again. And we will let you guys go. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.